Hello, I'm TJ Parton, and I'm doing a summary and reaction of the Birka warrior grave. Little background. The Old Norse settlement of Birka is located on the island of Bjorko in Lake Mälaren and is widely known as the first urban center in what is modern-day Sweden. Founded in 750 AD, the Birka settlement boasted a population of around 700 to 1,000 and would be occupied for about 200 years before being abandoned by its inhabitants who relocated to a new site. The Birka settlement is rich with burial mounds, as more than 3,000 can be found on the site. Of those 3,000, 1,100 were excavated in the late 19th century by antiquarian Hjalmar Stolp. Findings. Moving on to the grave goods. During Stolp's excavation of the site, he discovered an interred body, two horses, a sword, an axe, a spear, armor-piercing arrows, a battle knife, two shields, and a gaming board with pieces. The implications of these findings. All of these grave goods indicate that the grave was clearly that of a skilled and formidable warrior, and the number of grave goods is indicative of someone important. Death in Old Norse society and the Birka warrior status. To the Old Norse people, an honorable death was achieved by dying in battle, and through this, you were rewarded in the afterlife by joining Odin in Valhalla or Freya in Folkvangir. The body you left behind was often buried in a way that represented your achievements. Variations of Norse burial methods were present throughout ancient Norse culture, with individual communities, villages, and farmsteads all differing slightly in the way they do it. How the warrior's burial relates to their status. With this notion, there can be a claim made about the importance and formidableness of the Birka warrior to the people living in the settlement, especially as out of the 1,100 burial mounds excavated, only 75 contain more than one offensive weapon, and only two contain a full complement of weapons, leading BJ581 to be considered one of the 20 richest graves excavated from this settlement. The class of the warrior. The Birka warriors' weaponry and equipment demonstrated that they were professional, and the quality of their gear suggests that they were of high social standing. There was no evidence in the grave that suggested the Birka warrior had partaken in domestic life, such as agricultural or building tools. Social classes in Old Norse society. During the Viking Age, there were three classes: thralls or slaves, carls or free farmers, and jarls or nobility. The Poetic Edda's The List of Rig provides a view into these Old Norse classes, as Rig visits three families that become the ancestors for each class, and description of their lifestyle follows. Thralls were depicted as working in the fields all day. Carls were seen creating goods, domesticating animals, and building. And Jarls practiced for war, rode horses, wielded weapons, and fought for land. Birka warrior. The Birka warrior's grave reflects that of a Jarl, due to the quality of their items, the presence of horses, and the sheer amount of weaponry that they were buried with. The gaming pieces were a common item found among Viking burials. However, the presence of a full set with an iron board occurs in relation to military leaders, often found in large ship burials. The proximity of the set to the warrior implies that they could have assumed a command role, especially when paired with the militaristic weaponry. The Birka warrior's clothing also points towards high military standing, as their tasseled cap indicates that they were a leading member of society, with Birka's textile specialist believing that they assumed position as a cavalry commander under immediate authority of a royal war leader. Rediscovery. Due to the grave goods indicating that the individual was a military officer, the sex of BJ581 was considered to be a male. However, you may have noticed the absence of gendered language when referring to the Birka warrior thus far. This is because during Stolp's excavation in 1878, the warrior was initially declared to be male, until Anna Kjellström's osteological and contextual analysis in 2016 showed that the individual was in fact a woman. This claim that the Birka warrior is female caused controversy. Even though women have been found buried with weapons before, a Norse female warrior of this standing and position has never been discovered. Among the aforementioned reasons, the lack of female attributed grave artifacts such as jewelry supported the initial idea that the Birka warrior was male. Gender roles in Norse society. From what I know about Norse society and mythology, Viking women had more rights than other women at the time. However, they were still inferior to men. Norse society was male dominated with distinct gender roles. Women could not participate in the thing, which was held once per year and served as the governing assembly. And women were either under control of their fathers or their husbands. A woman's duty was to manage the family finances and tasks around the household, such as cooking, brewing, sewing, spinning, and weaving. However, there were ways for women to gather more freedom, such as being widowed or divorced. BJ581's Transcendence and My Thoughts. In the case of the Birka warrior, she surpassed gender norms and assumed a role in society that would have only been available to a man. It is my belief that she presented herself as a man within society. Evidence to support my claim comes directly from the grave itself, as she was buried in a manly way without any jewelry or grave goods that were associated with female Vikings. Through her male presentation, she was able to transcend the standard gender roles. My interest. Finally, my interest in the topic started from the fact that I think BJ581 is an impressive archaeological discovery based upon the grave goods and the number of burial mounds surrounding the site as a whole. But the nearly 150-year journey that led to the reevaluating the gender and the questions regarding who this person was and how they transcended boundaries is fascinating and the reason that I was drawn to it initially. So that's all that I have. Hopefully, you enjoyed my reaction and summary to BJ581.